In the United States, the first popular story of abduction by extraterrestrials was that of Betty and Barney Hill. According to a variety of reports given by the Hills, the alleged UFO sighting happened about 10:30 p.m. September 19, 1961. The Hills were driving back to Portsmouth from a vacation in Niagara Falls and Montreal. Just south of Lancaster, New Hampshire, Betty claimed to have observed a bright point of light in the sky that moved from below the Moon and the planet Jupiter, upward to the west of the Moon. Betty reasoned that she was observing a falling star, only it moved upward. Because it moved erratically and grew bigger and brighter, Betty urged Barney to stop the car for a closer look. Betty, looking through binoculars, observed an odd-shaped craft flashing multicolored lights travel across the face of the Moon. The Hills said they continued driving on the isolated road, moving very slowly through Franconia Notch in order to observe the object, as it came even closer. At one point, the object passed above a restaurant and signal tower on top of Cannon Mountain, and came out near the Old Man of the Mountain. The couple watched as the silent, illuminated craft moved erratically and bounced back and forth in the night sky. About 1 mile south of Indian Head, they said, the object rapidly descended toward their vehicle, causing Barney to stop in the middle of the highway. The huge, silent craft hovered about 30 meters above the Hills' Chevrolet Bel Air, and filled the entire field of view in the windshield. Barney claimed to have seen 8 to 11 humanoid figures, who were peering out of the craft's windows, seeming to look at him. He saw the object again shift its location to directly above the vehicle. He drove away as fast as he could. Arriving home at about dawn, the Hills assert that they had some odd sensations and impulses they could not readily explain. Their watches would never work again. There were shiny, concentric circles on their car's trunk, that had not been there the previous day. Betty and Barney experimented with a compass, noting that when they moved it close to the spots, the needle would whirl rapidly. But when they moved it a few inches away from the shiny spots, it would drop down. The Hills' account, however, is the second abduction story that became world famous. The first is from 1957, and centered around Antonio Vilas Boas, a farmer from rural Brazil. According to Vilas Boas, on the night of October 16, while he was plowing fields with his tractor, he was taken into a spaceship by a group of ETs measuring about 5 feet tall. He was put in a room, and saw gas coming out of the walls. The gas made him very sick. Then, a very attractive female, naked, with long platinum blonde hair, fire-red pubic hair, and deep blue cat eyes, came and forced him to have intercourse. According to Vilas Boas, her intentions were quite clear: to produce a human-alien hybrid, that she would raise on her planet. After he got back, Vilas Boas noted he had burns on his body. A doctor from a reputable medical center diagnosed them as being radiation burns. This doctor, Olavo Fontes, had contacts with the American UFO research group APRO. Vilas Boas had no recollection how he got the burns. We must wonder whether these aliens are really that smart, given that they keep repeating the same experiment on human anatomy over and over again. The story gained worldwide popularity in the late 1950s. Many believed its veracity for politically incorrect reasons, claiming that a humble farmer from rural Brazil would not be able to concoct such a tale. In reality, Vilas Boas was neither humble nor uneducated. His family owned large tracts of land. He later became a lawyer and practiced until his death in 1992. No doubt his notoriety helped his career. The overwhelming majority of scientists categorically denies that narratives of abductions have any real component. When told in earnest, most are products of various kinds of abnormal psychological states, from fantasy-prone personalities to self-hypnotic trances, false memory syndrome, sleep paralysis, environmental disturbances during sleep, or some more serious type of psychopathology. Another possibility is a misrepresentation of reality caused by post-traumatic stress, plausibly due to some unwanted sexual encounter. Most abduction stories have elements in common with that of Vilas Boas: kidnapping into an alien spaceship, medical exams that center around the human reproductive system, or explicit sexual contact with extraterrestrials, and mysterious marks left on the body. The nearest star to Earth is about 4 light-years away. Our fastest spaceship would take some 100,000 years to get there. If intelligent aliens exist and came here, they must have technologies that are beyond anything we can imagine, because they must be capable of fast interstellar travel, passing undetected by radar, and leaving without a trace. The feats are even more spectacular considering there are thousands of abduction narratives and UFO encounters, a topic that has been making headlines recently. On the other hand, we must wonder whether these aliens are really that smart, given that they keep repeating the same experiment on human anatomy over and over again. Can they not figure out human biology? Or do they just have a perverted side? And are there different aliens coming to Earth? If so, how many species are out there, fixated on us? I find the possibility highly improbable, given their spectacular space travel technology. A close encounter of the first kind is a simple sighting of an unidentified flying object, UFO, with no other supporting evidence. More than 95% of UFO sightings are later explained as misidentified weather balloons, aircraft, and so on. There is no reason to believe that the tiny percentage of sightings that cannot be identified are anything strange. A handful of sightings will naturally lack sufficient evidence for identification, just as the police cannot find enough evidence to solve every crime. A close encounter of the second kind is a sighting apparently supported by physical evidence, typically photographs. However, these photographs are often ambiguous pictures of ordinary objects. It is now easy to fake a photograph using Photoshop, for example, and there have been many hoaxes. No convincing evidence has ever been produced to support a genuine, close encounter of the second kind. A close encounter of the third kind involves direct contact between humans and aliens, who often have messages for humans, for example about the dangers of nuclear war. Stories of close encounters of the fourth kind, where a human is abducted by aliens, now outnumber stories of encounters of the third kind. Experts agree that most people who claim alien abduction experiences are sane, and sincerely believe they have encountered aliens. French proposes that a common phenomenon, sleep paralysis, could make many think they had contact with aliens. Sleep paralysis occurs just before one falls asleep or wakes up, normally lasts a few seconds, and may feel a little odd, but no more. But in a minority of cases it can be a terrifying experience, accompanied by a strong sense of evil, difficulty breathing, seeing lights and grotesque figures, hearing voices and feeling one is being dragged out of bed. In the classic television series The X-Files, FBI agents attempt to uncover a conspiracy between aliens from another world and the United States government. Ideas about aliens vary from culture to culture, and can be heavily influenced by the media, but the phenomenon of so-called alien abductions is relatively new in human history. 64% of respondents to a CNN poll said they believed aliens had made contact with humans, with 50% claiming that aliens had abducted humans. The concept of alien abductions is well established in American consciousness, but psychological research may be able to offer a more mundane explanation for widespread belief in so-called abductions. Sleep paralysis. When you sleep, your body freezes your limbs, decreasing the likelihood that you leap from the bed or injure yourself in your dreams. But sometimes sleep paralysis goes a little haywire, and people wake up unable to move. This can trigger an assortment of bizarre, dream-like hallucinations. People who already believe in aliens may, in this semi-conscious state, interpret lights and sounds from outside as alien visitors. Upon returning to sleep, these memories can become even more lucid, through further dreams about aliens. Because sleep paralysis can be so frightening, though, people who experience it and then dream about aliens may interpret their experiences as real. Brain disturbances. The brain can do all kinds of strange things that seem real in the moment. After all, it's the source of dreams, false memories, and hallucinations. Researchers have found that electrical stimulation of the temporal lobe can produce images and experiences that some people may interpret as alien abductions. A seizure in the temporal lobe is sufficient to trigger abduction-like sensations, so it may be that some people's memories of abductions are in fact memories of seizures. Mental health issues. Many people who report alien abductions are healthy, high-functioning individuals. Some, however, have a mental health issue that clouds their ability to distinguish fantasy from reality. Delusional issues are particularly likely to result in alien abduction memories, but research has also shown a correlation between alien abduction reports and schizotypal personality. People with schizotypal personality are often perceived by others as eccentric, and typically have unusual beliefs. They sometimes engage in magical thinking, and may experience problems with perception. This may lead to interpreting an experience as an alien abduction. Memory difficulties. The memory can play a host of tricks on you. It doesn't act as a recording device, carefully cataloging every life event. Instead, the memory is highly susceptible to suggestion, belief, and fantasy. In some cases, it's possible people may misremember dreams as reality or interpret a strange experience, such as a house shaking due to an earthquake, as an alien abduction. Cognitive biases can further distort memory. Confirmation bias, for example, is the tendency to see evidence for something you already believe. If you believe aliens abduct people, and then have a frightening nighttime experience with a bright light, you may be tempted to fit this experience into what you already know, seeing it as evidence of an alien abduction. But what if it's real? There are plenty of scientists who are convinced there is life on other planets. No one can say with certainty whether aliens have visited our planet. Some psychologists, such as John Mack, have studied abduction phenomena, taking the stories to be true at face value. This field of psychology, called parapsychology, has gained a cult following among devotees of aliens and the UFO culture. Parapsychologists are interested in the effects of apparent abductions, and the ways the trauma of a memory of abduction affects the brain.